Gate slaps down on our 6 and under open. Kyron Brooks, Parker Brower, Breck Romer. Going into turn number 1, it looks like it's going to be Romer on the 1, Brooks on your 2, and Brower on your 3. This one is a total points race. Every single lap counts for these kiddos. We've got 4, 5, and 6-year-old out here pedaling these big old hills, going up and over these downhill third straight. Looks like it's still going to be in that order with Romer on your 1. Brower's trying to close on that number 2 spot. Brooks takes a look back, but it's still Romer on your 1. Brooks in your 2 and Brower in your 3. Out of the last turn, looks like that's the order they're coming to the stripe with Romer, Brooks, and Brower. Gate goes down 7-8, Mare Open, Ellis Williams, Jasper Brooks, Jared Krause, Timothy Rivas, and Elijah Bradley. Coming at me into this triple step up, it looks like it's going to be Mr. Brooks on the 1, Mr. Revis on that number 2 spot. Rounding out that number 3 is going with Krause, Williams in your 4, and Bradley in your 5. Top 2 are moving on to the main event automatically out of round number 1. Looks like right now it's still racking in that order with Brooks in your 1, Revis in your 2, Krause and Williams in your 3 and 4. Moving on, 9-10 open, Caleb Avendano, Henry Watson, Preston George, Cole Rivas, Nash Williams, and Jackson Gessner. Number 1 spot looks like right now we have got Preston George out on the top spot, Cole in your number 2, Nash in your 3, and Caleb in your 4. As they turn out of that last turn, that's the order they're coming at the home stripe right there. Last rack of open, Hunter Dye, Riley Richardson, Eleanor Rivas, Mary Pat Meany, Anthony Bynum. Looks like I was missing a couple on this first round right here, but it's going to be Mr. Bynum sitting on that number 1 spot. The Gold Cup 3 of Mr. Dye on your 2, and Mary Pat rounding out on that number 3 spot. Cruisers! Gates drop down on our first rack of cruisers. We've got Chris Mabry, Joey Cataldo, and Rhett Honeycutt. Coming out of turn number 1, it's Cataldo on the 1 spot. Honeycutt's trying to chase him down. Cataldo's got the line right now going into turn number 2. Honeycutt wants it, but it's all Cataldo on the number 1 spot. Mabry's doing it in the number 3. As they go down that third straight, Cataldo's holding on to his lead, trying to pull away. Honeycutt's on the 2, and Mabry holds his 3. Out of the last turn, that's the order they're going to the home stripe. Cataldo, Honeycutt, and Mabry. Second rack of cruisers, Edmund Horn, Shannon Polk, and Tara Thomas. Coming out of turn number 1, looks like it's going to be Polk on the 1, Horn on the 2, and Thomas in the 3. Got that GoPro going on that top spot right now. He doesn't have anybody in front of him to be recording, so it's all him recording himself today out front. It's going to be Mr. Shannon Polk holding on to his number 1. Edmund Horn, John's daddy, is out there on the number 2, and Terrace Thomas is holding on number 3 spot. As they go to the home stripe, Polk takes the 1. Thomas is going to take over the 2, and Horn drops to the number 3. Moving into my itty bitties, I've got, looks like Mr. Cash Workman out on the number 1 spot. Noah Avendano on the 2. And Theo Williams on that 3 spot. It's all Workman doing it on the 1, though, as he pulls away from the crowd. Avendano holding on to his number 2, and Williams in that number 3. Give a hand for our 5- and 6-year-old novice class as they come to the finish line for you. Workman 1, Avendano 2, and Williams 3. Seven, 8 novice, Elijah Bradley, Harrison Gessner, Ellis Williams, Jared Kraus, Luke Ladd. As they come out of the turn 1, hole shots going to Mr. Jared Kraus. This is, I think, week number 3. He's working with everything. He's got Ellis Williams on that number 2 spot. Is she going to dive down low and take over? But it's still Kraus on the 1, Williams on the 2, and Gessner in the 3. Looks like that's going to be Ladd on the 4 and Bradley in the 5. Down that third straight, Kraus has still got the 1 spot, but it's going to come into that last turn, coming out of that last turn. Out of the last turn, it's Kraus. Williams on the 2, Gessner on the 3. To the line they go. I'm going to let them call that one at the finish. I think it may have been Kraus, Williams, Gessner. Finish line makes the call. Nine-year-old novice, Henry Watson, Kendall Kraus, Miles Williams, Samantha Gregg, Jackson Gessner. Coming out of turn number 1, up and over that triple step up, it's going to be Miles Williams on the top spot. He's rocking his new Tanglewood BMX Devo team jersey with Henry Watson rocking that same jersey on the number 2 spot. That number 3 looks like it may have been Samantha Gregg. They were pedaling past me so fast I didn't catch that number plate. Out of the last turn, it's still Williams on your 1, Watson on your 2. Next rack of novice, Jackson Kelly, Cambry Brooks, Joseph Johnson, and Eleanor Revis. Out of turn number 1, that's Miss Brooks out of the top spot right now. She's looking and working on for him to move up right now, but it's Johnson on the number 2, Kelly in your number 3. Out of the second turn, Johnson's trying to close on Brooks, but Brooks is holding on to her lead right now as they go down this third straight. Into the last turn, it's going to be a turn action move right now as they come out of it. Brooks holds on to her number 1, Johnson on the 2, and Kelly in your 3. First rack of intermediates, 5 and under intermediates. We've got 4 kiddos out here, 5 years old and under. That means they've all got at least 10 wins out here. Chase Reynolds, Hayden Williams, Kyron Brooks, and Jamison Johnson. Number 1 looks like it's going with Chase Reynolds right now. J.J. Johnson on the number 2 spot. Kyron Brooks in the 3. Hayden Williams on the 4 as they come out of that second turn. Reynolds holding on to his 1. Johnson on the 2. It's a battle on that number 3 spot right now. Williams takes over Brooks for the number 3. Out of that last turn, coming into the rhythm section, we've got Reynolds holding on to his 1. Johnson on the 2. Williams on the 3, and Brooks in the 4. Next rack of intermediates, Jasper Brooks, Tevin Johnson, Timothy Revis, and Collins Lale. Out of that first turn, we've got Jasper Brooks in the number 1 spot. Tevin's trying to reel him in on that number 2 spot. Lale's on the 3, Revis in the 4. Out of that second turn, it's still Brooks on the 1. Johnson's trying to turn it on. Lale's holding on to his number 3, but he's got company coming with Revis on that inside line. Out of that last turn, Revis takes a wide move to go out to the outside. Out of last turn, handlebar to handlebar, we see Brooks and Johnson pumping it all the way through to that line. It looks like Lale and Revis are also going to be side by side. That may have gone with Johnson to the 1, Brooks on the 2. Lale and Revis. Turning the page, we've got our 9-year-old intermediates, Corlin Taylor, Nash Williams, Brindley Milligan, Caleb Avendano. Right now it's Corlin Taylor on the top spot. Brindley's trying to reel him in with Nash on the number 3, Avendano on the 4. Into that last turn, it's still Taylor on your 1, Milligan on your 2, Williams in your 3, and Avendano on your 4 as they come to the stripe. We've got a battle going down right now. It's still Taylor on the 1, but that number 2 spot, Milligan's going to hold it. Nash Williams on the 3 and Avendano on the 4. Oh, 11-year-old, 10 and 11-year-old intermediate, Zane Morosky, Landon Hardy, Ella Richardson, and Liam Adams. Right now, it's going to be Mr. Landon out on the number 1. Liam's on the 2. He's got an inside line. Zane takes over on that inside line. It's still Landon on the 1. Liam holds his number 2 spot. Zane's on the 3. Ella's in the 4. Woo, the wind picked up. But Mr. Landon, he's trying to pick up with that win and head to the stripe out of the last turn. It's going to be Landon Hardy on the 1 spot. Liam Adams on the 2. Zane in your 3 and Ella in your 4. Next rack of intermediates, what the? Tyson Allen, Carson Gregory, and Ashley Hardy. I see Mr. Tyson Allen on the top spot. Gregory's on the number 2. Hardy's on your 3. I thought Mr. Gregory was going to just be bumping the gate, but apparently we're just going to be out here racing, looking like a fool. Out of that last turn, Allen still has his lead. Gregory's on the 2 and Hardy's on your 3. Next rack of intermediates, Hunter Dye, Jamin Lee, and Kian Milligan. This is a mixed up rack, just so everybody knows. Mr. Hunter, he's our 13-year-old expert. Jamin's our 14-year-old novice. And Kian is our 14-year-old intermediate. It's going to be the Gold Cup 3 of Hunter Dye, your expert rider out on the front spot. Mr. Milligan's trying to chase him down, and I think Jamin's looking at like maybe a second race out here trying to chase them all down. But out of that last turn, it's going to be Mr. Dye showing how it's done with his Gold Cup plate on. Headed to the stripe is going Dye, Milligan, Lee. Last rack of intermediates, Shannon Polk, Joe Brooks, and Tara Thomas. Oh, out of turn number 1, I see a good turn move going down right here between Polk and Brooks. They're pushing each other going into that triple. Polk had the number 1 spot. Brooks takes it over. Out of turn number 2, it's Brooks in the 1. Polk's trying to reel him down. Thomas in your 3. Out of that last turn, Brooks has still got his 1. Shannon's coming for him on that number 2, and Thomas is going to round it out for the 3. First rack of expert, Ivana George, Rhett Honeycutt, Breck Romer. Coming out of turn number 1, it's going to be Mr. Honeycutt in the top spot. Ivana on your 2, Breck in your 3. Into that second turn we go. Honeycutt still holding on, trying to pull away. Ivana's got the 2 spot. Romer's on the 3 spot. As his dad said, I didn't change his gear, and he's still racing. So, as we go out of the last turn, running with the wrong gear, we've got Honeycutt in the 1, George in the 2, Romer in the 3. Next rack of our experts. I think I could call this rack from a mile away when I see these kids riding. They race each other week in and week out. Cole Rivas, Preston George, Joey Cataldo, Harrison Benoit. I don't need a moto sheet to tell me these names. Battle every week in, week out. George is on the 1 spot, Rivas on the 2 spot, Cataldo on the 3, and Benoit on the 4. It's anybody's game right now, but George has got the 1. Cole's got the 2. Joey's got the 3. Harrison on the 4 out of last turn. Head into the rhythm section. To the stripe, it's going to go George, Rivas, Cataldo, Benoit. Last rack of experts, Riley Richardson, Chris Workman, Mary Pat Meany, Anthony Bynum, and Will Will's got the number 1 spot. Riley's got the number 2. Bynum took a fall, but he's back up. Mary Pat's got the 3. Workman's got the 4. This is not just an expert. Give a hand. Mr. Bynum's back up. Those teenagers have descended. They don't care where you are. Going to the stripe, it's going to be Zylstra with the 1, Richardson with the 2. Mary Pat Meany's going to round it out in that number 3, Workman in the 4, and Bynum. We'll see all y'all for the next round. Second round. We are starting it up. Second round opens. Here we go, round number 2. Kyron Brooks, Parker Brower, Breck Romer. 6 and under open, total points race right here. Out of the first turn, Romer's got the 1. Brooks is trying to charge on him for the 2. Brower's on the 3 spot right now as they come up and over this triple step up into the turn number 2. Romer still got the 1. Brooks is trying to reel him in, and Brower's on that 3 spot. Out of the last turn, coming to the stripe. That's still the order they're racking. I see a look over to the side, but it's Romer on the 1. Brooks took a look over, but he's still got that number 2 spot. Brower's on that 3. Again, boys, you all 3 will run it again. Everybody qualifies for that one. It's total points for that 6 and under open. Next rack of open, Ellis Williams, Elijah Bradley, and Jared Kraus. Top 2 move on to their main event right here for this 7-8 open. Right now, that's going to be Miss Williams on the 1 spot, Kraus in the 2, Bradley in the 3. Big old hills. These little bitty legs are moving, though. Out of that last turn, they're going back to the black and white stripe. That finish line's looking at them. Top two moving on. Right now, we've got the top two looking like Kraus and Williams. Next track of open, Henry Watson, Nash Williams, Caleb Avendano, and Jackson Gessner. Nash Williams has got your number one spot, Caleb Avendano in your two, Henry Watson in your three, Jackson Gessner in your four. Out of that second turn, they're coming. Williams has still got the one, but he's got Avendano coming and charging for him hard on that second spot right there. Watson's holding on to his number three, but he's got Gessner on the inside going down this third straight into that last turn. It still looks like it's going to be Williams on the top spot, Avendano in the two. Top three move on to their main event in this one. Looks like that's going to go with Williams, Avendano, Watson. Last rack of open. They've got a boat ride. Both of these are moving on to their main events right here. Riley Richardson, Mary Pat Meany. As a reminder, we will be doing the egg hunt after the last race of the day. After the last race, egg hunt, you will head to the back behind the first straight. There are boxes by age groups. Make sure you get in your box. Nobody starts until I say start. First rack of cruisers, Chris Mabry, Joey Cataldo, and Rhett Honeycutt. Cataldo took the number one spot last time. He's looking to take it again this round. He's got that whole shot right now. Honeycutt's on that two, and Mabry's on the three. Out of that second turn, it's still Cataldo. Honeycutt's working hard to get into that number one, but it's all Cataldo on it right now. Mabry's holding on to his number three spot. Out of the last turn, I see some nice work there. Looks like Cataldo's going to hold on for his one. Honeycutt gave him a charge on that number two spot, and Mabry holds the number three. Last rack of cruisers, Edmund Horn, Shannon Polk, and Tara Thomas. Mr. Polk's got the number one right now. Mr. Horn's in the two, and Miss Thomas in your three spot. We've got out here today all the way from 4 years old to 63. 4 years young to 63 years young out here doing it on bikes today. Just shows you no matter what age you're at, you can grab a bike and get pedaling. Don't just watch these kiddos, get out here and ride with them. Out of that last turn, it's going to be Polk on your one, Horn on your two, and Thomas in your three. First rack of novice, Cash Workman, Noah Avendano, and Theo Williams. Avendano's got the number one right now coming out of that turn. He did a nice push on that one, but Workman's going to take over that one spot right now. It's going to be Cash Workman taking over that one. Avendano drops to the two. Theo on your three spot. Those little legs are going as fast as they can move those pedals up and over these big old jumps. They're holding on for their spots with everything they've got, gripping those bikes as hard as they can. Holding on to his number 1 spot. It's going to be Workman on that top spot. Avendano on your 2. Williams in your 3. That's the order they're going to finish it out for round number 2. Next rack of novice, 7-8-year-olds, Elijah Bradley, Harrison Gessner, Ellis Williams, Jared Kraus, Luke Ladd. Coming out of turn number 1, it's going to be Ellis Williams with your whole shot. She's got everybody coming for her right now, though. It's going to be Gessner on your 2, Kraus in your 3, Ladd in your 4, Bradley in your 5. Out of that second turn they go. They're still racking in that order, but it's anybody's game. Williams is holding on to her done spot right now, but she's got everybody coming for her. They all want it. They're going to mix it up this round, though. Looks like they're out of the last turn. Williams is holding her 1. Gessner takes over that 2 spot. Kraus in your 3. Ladd and Bradley going to round it out. Gate goes down on our next rack of novice. 9 years old, Henry Watson, Kendall Kraus, Miles Williams, Samantha Gregg, Jackson Gessner. Miles took round number 1. He's got the 1 spot right now. Henry Watson's charging on the 2. Gessner's on your 3. That's going to be the 308 of Kendall on your number 4 spot. And Miss Samantha Gregg going to round it out. Out of that last turn, they're going with Williams is holding on to his 1. Watson in your 2, and Gessner in your 3. Kraus and Gregg going to round it out for that 9-year-old novice. Last rack of novice, Jackson Kelly, Cambry Brooks, Joseph Johnson. Out of that first turn, whole shots going with Miss Brooks. Joseph Johnson's on that number 2 spot. Jackson Kelly's on the 3. Out of that second turn. It's still Brooks on your 1. Johnson's trying to charge on her right now. They're side by side going down that last straight. Let's see what happens as they come into that last turn. In and out of that last turn, Brooks holds onto her 1 spot. Johnson on his 2. They're charging to the line, coming to the line, it looks like, ooh, I don't know. That's going to be a finish line call right there. Brooks and Johnson, nice job. Kelly's going to round it out. First rack of intermediates, 5 and under intermediates, Chase Reynolds, Hayden Williams, Kyron Brooks, J.J. Johnson, out of turn number 1. Reynolds got the 1 spot. Johnson's got the 2. Brooks in the 3 and Williams in the 4. Rounding out of turn number 2. It's still going to be Reynolds on your 1. Johnson in your 2. It's a battle on that number 3 spot right now. Williams has got the inside line. Brooks is on the 4 spot. Love to see a full rack of 5 and under intermediates. Awesome, awesome job as they come out of that last turn. It's still going to be Reynolds with your 1. Johnson's got your 2. They're all charging on that number 3 spot right now, though. As they go to the line, looks like it's going to be Williams with your 3 and Brooks with your 4. It's our next rack of intermediates, 7, 8-year-old intermediates. Brooks on your 1 spot, Johnson on your 2, Lale in your 3, and Rivas in your 4. Out of that second turn they go. That's the order they're holding. Coming down this third hill, downhill, but it's still all Brooks on your 1. Johnson's trying to charge on him. Out of the last turn. Brooks is still on the 1. Johnson's trying to pump it as hard as he can to take over that 1 spot, but it looks like it's going to go with Brooks to the 1. Johnson to the 2. Timothy Rivas in your 3, and Collins Lale in your 4. Always check with the finish line. My announcing is not the finish line. Turning the page, our next rack of intermediates. Corlin Taylor, Nash Williams, Brenley Milligan, Caleb Avendano. Looked like Nash Williams had the 1 spot. He got sandwiched up between Corlin Taylor and Brenley Milligan. Corlin Taylor takes over the 1. Brenley's on the 2. Williams in your 3, and Avendano is going to round it out on this 9-year-old intermediate class. Out of the last turn, that's the order. They're going back to the stripe with Taylor on your 1, Milligan 2, Williams 3, Avendano 4. Next rack of intermediates, Zane Morosky, Landon Hardy, Ella Richardson, and Liam Adams. Coming at me, whole shots going this time to Mr. Liam Adams. Landon Hardy's on the number 2. Zane's on the 3 spot. Ella's on the 4 as they come out of that second turn. That's the order they're going down this downhill third straight. It's still Adams on your 1. Hardy wants it though right now, but Adams does the inside lane. Zane's trying to chase them both down, and Ella's rounding it out, battling as fast as she can to catch all them boys out in front of her. Out of the last turn. Hardy takes over the 1 spot on the rhythm section. Adams drops to the 2. Morosky, Richardson. Next rack of intermediates, Tyson Allen, Ashley Hardy, Carson Gregory. Allen took the first lap. He's got the lead right now coming out of that second turn. It looks like it's going with Allen, Gregory, and Hardy. Again, we are not going to talk about Carson Gregory's attire out here. Out of that last turn, we've got Allen with the 1, Gregory, and Hardy. Next rack, Mr. Hunter Dye, Jamin Lee, Kean Milligan. Coming at me over that triple step up, it's going to be Mr. Hunter Dye on the 1, Milligan on your 2, Lee in your 3. I know if I was Lee, I'd be out here thinking, oh, how did I get put in here with an expert? But we need some more new novice riders out here in that 13-year-old, 14-year-old range. Grab some friends, bring them out. To the stripe, that's the order they're going to go. Dye, Milligan, Lee. Last rack of intermediates, Shannon Polk, Joe Brook, Tara Thomas. Bumping, 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 bumping. Brooks takes over the number 1 spot, Polk in your 2, Thomas in your 3. As they turn into that last turn, headed to the stripe. Polk's got the inside. He's going to try to make a move as he comes out of this turn. It's going to be Polk with your 1 spot now. Brooks drops to the 2. Thomas in your 3. First rack of experts, Ivana George, Rhett Honeycutt, Breck Romer. Honeycutt's got the 1 spot, George is in the 2, Romer's in the 3 out of that first turn. Hey, if you're riding a bigger gear, it's only going to make you faster and stronger long term. As they come out of that second turn, it's still Honeycutt on the 1, George in the 2, and Romer's trying to chase that down on that 3 spot as they head down the third straight into the last turn. Looks like that's the order they're going to finish it with. Honeycutt 1, George 2, Romer 3. Gate drops down. Preston George, Cole Rivas, Joey Cotado, Harrison Benoit. Out of turn number 1, George gets the whole shot. Rivas in the 2, Cotado in the 3. Benoit giving them all some run for his money right there in that number 4 spot. Out of the second turn, it's still George on the top. Rivas in the 2, Cotado 3. Benoit's got the inside on that 4 line though. Out of the last turn to the black and white stripe. That's the order they're going to finish it with. George, Rivas, Cotado, Benoit. Last rack of experts. Will Zylstra, Chris Workman, Anthony Bynum, Mary Pat Meany, and Riley Richardson. Bynum's trying to give a little bit of money there to Mr. Zylstra, but it's all Zylstra and those gold wheels on the top spot right now. But Bynum's trying to chase him down. Richardson's in the 3. Workman and Meany are back here hanging with each other, wondering how they got also put in with experts. They're out of that last turn. It's going to be Zylstra in the 1. Richardson takes over the number 2 spot. Bynum drops to the 3. Meany in your 4, and Workman's going to round it out. Gate drops down on our main event, number 1, Breck Romer, Parker Brower, Kyron Brooks. Out of turn number 1, whole shot going to Romer with Kyron Brooks on that number 2. He takes a look over. Brower's trying to move over. Nice move. They don't back down right there. That's perfect move. Romer's got the 1, but he's got Brower charging on him on that number 2 spot. Brooks drops to his 3. Into that last turn, they're still in that order with Romer on your 1, Brower on your 2, and Brooks in your 3. Gate goes down on our second rack of open. Jasper Brooks, Timothy Revis, Jared Krause, and Ellis Williams. Out of turn 1, whole shot going to Mr. Brooks. Revis is trying to chase him down. He's got the inside line. He's not going to back down, open over that triple step up, but Brooks holds on to his number 1. Revis in the 2, Williams in the 3, and Krause in your 4 as they come out of that second turn. Revis is trying to go for it with all he's got, but it's still Brooks on the 1 right now. Into that last turn. Brooks has got the inside line. Revis is out wide. Can he dive in? Out of that last turn, it's going to stay with Brooks, Revis, Williams, and Krause. Next rack of open, Caleb Avendano, Henry Watson, Preston George, Cole Rivas, and Nash Williams. Mr. George has got the top spot. Rivas in the 2. Avendano on the 3 with Williams in the 4 trying to chase him down. Watson's in the 5 spot. It's still Mr. George out on the top. Watson takes over the number 3 right now. Cole still holding on to his number 2. Avendano drops to the 4, and Watson's going to round it out on this third rack of opens. Coming to the line, that's the order right now. We've got George, Rivas, Williams, Avendano, and Watson. Last rack of open. Riley Richardson, Anthony Bynum, Hunter Dye, and Mary Pat Meany. Bynum's got the number 1 spot. Richardson's trying to chase him down, but it's still Bynum on the number 1. Richardson's going to take over that top spot. Bynum drops to his 2. Dye in the 3. Meany's going to round it out on that number 4 spot. Out of the last turn, coming to the stripe. That's the order they're going to finish. Richardson, Dye, Bynum, Meany. Gay drops down on our cruisers. Red Honeycutt, Joey Cataldo, and Chris Mabry. Cataldo's hugging that inside line right now. Red Honeycutt's on the 2. Chris Mabry's on the 3. Out of the second turn. Honeycutt's trying to chase Cataldo down. Woo! Pushing him over to the side of that track. And he dived down, looking like he's coming out of that turn. It's going to be Cataldo in your 1, Honeycutt in your 2, and Mabry in your 3. Next rack of cruisers, Edmund Horn, Shannon Polk, and it's supposed to be Miss Tara Thomas. Right now I see Tara's bike out there on the top spot. Polk looks like he's going to try to take the run for the money and take it over. He takes over that number 1 spot. Tara's bike drops to the number 2. Horns in the number 3. Out of the last turn. Woohoo! Come into the stripe. Looks like it's going to be a Thomas bike crossing first, a Polk bike crossing second, and a Horn bike crossing third. First rack of novice. Cash Workman, Theo Williams, Noah Avendano. Noah's got the 1 spot right now. Mr. Workman's trying to chase him down and take it over, though. It looks like he's going to take it over on this triple step up. Workman takes over the 1. Avendano drops to the 2. Williams in your 3. Keep pedaling, buddy. Workman holding on to his 1 spot. Avendano's on that number 2 spot. Williams took a little spill. Everybody give him a hand, guys. He's back up and getting back on that bike. Right, Workman's going to finish it on the 1. Avendano's on the 2, and Theo's going to keep pedaling those feet all the way around, up and over these big hills. He's pedaling all the way through to the line. Gate goes down on this 8-year-old novice. Elijah Bradley, Harrison Gessner, Ellis Williams, Jared Krause, Luke Ladd. I do believe this may be Luke's first race. I don't want to quote that, but I feel like it may be his first race, so make sure y'all give him a hand as that yellow-red line comes to the finish line. But right now, it's going to be Miss Ellis Williams on the number 1 spot. She's looking for this win, giving it everything she's got. Everybody's chasing her down. Gessner's on the 2, Kraus in the 3, Ladd in the 4 as they turn and burn out of that last turn. Ellis Williams is going to hold on to that number 1 spot through the rhythm section. Gessner's trying to chase her down. Kraus is holding his number 3, and Ladd's going to finish it on that number 4. Next rack of Novice, Henry Watson, Kendall Kraus, Miles Williams, Samantha Gregg, and Jackson Gessner. Miles Williams is in that number 1 spot. He wants this win today. He wants that move up right there. He's holding on to his number 1 spot. Watson's on the 2. Gessner's on the 3. Looks like that's going to be Miss Gregg on the 4 and Miss Kraus. Those two girls are going back and forth with each other, but it's still going to be Williams on the number 1 spot. As he turns to the finish line, everybody put your hands together. Mr. Miles Williams, your newest intermediate rider. Henry Watson's going to take the 2. Jackson Gessner in the 3. Looks like it's going to be Kraus in your 4 and Gregg in your 5. Turning the page, Cambry Brooks, Joseph Johnson, and Jackson Kelly. Brooks has got the 1, Johnson's got the 2, Kelly's got the 3 out of the second turn. It's still Brooks on the top spot. Johnson's moving those pedals as fast as they can to go up and over. Looks like Brooks took a little slip, but she's back on it and holding on to her number 1 out of that last turn. They are side by side going to the stripe. It's going to be a pump to the finish. Looks like it's going to go Johnson, Brooks, Jackson Kelly. First rack of intermediates, 5 and under. Chase Reynolds, Hayden Williams, Kyron Brooks, and Jamison Johnson. Out of turn number 1, it's going to be Reynolds on the top spot. Johnson's trying to chase him down. Williams in the 3, Brooks in your 4. Out of that second turn, it's still Reynolds on your 1. JJ on your 2, Hayden in your 3, and Kyron in to round it out on that 4 spot. I think this is Kyron's first race as an intermediate. I do believe he moved up last week, and this is his first race as an intermediate today. Make sure you guys make a loud noise as he comes to that stripe. But coming first place right now, it's going to be Reynolds rounding out with Johnson on the 2, Williams in your 3, and Brooks on his first intermediate showing. Here we go, second round of intermediates. Jasper Brooks, Tevin Johnson, Timothy Revis, and Collins Lale. Brooks has the whole shot right now, rocking that state number 3 spot. Johnson's trying to chase him down. Revis in your 3, Lale in your 4. Everybody wants it as they come into that third straight. Riding side by side right now, Johnson and Brooks coming out of that last turn. Let's see who's going to come out on the top spot out of the turn. Brooks holds on to the top spot. Johnson in the 2, Revis in your 3, Lale in your 4. I have no idea on that one. From my distance, I cannot see a finish line. That was really close between Brooks and Johnson, Revis in your 3, and Lael in your 4. Turn in the page, 9-year-old intermediates, Corlin Taylor, Nash Williams, Brindley Milligan, and Caleb Avendano. Coming out of turn number 2, Taylor's got the top spot, Milligan's on the 2, Williams in your 3, and Avendano's going to round it out. Out of the last turn, Taylor's got it. Milligan's trying to charge on him. She wants it, but it's still Taylor on the top spot. Milligan on the 2, Williams on the 3, and Avendano on your 4. Next rack of intermediates. Zane, Landon, Ella, Liam. Here we go. Rounding out of turn number 1. Hardy's got the top spot. Zane's on the 2. Adams in your 3. Richardson's in your 4. Into the second turn, it's still Hardy holding on to his 1. Adams on the 2. Morowski on your 3 and Richardson in your 4 as they go down this third straight. Out of the last turn. Hardy's got the 1. Adams is charging for it right now, though. Zane's on your 2. To the stripe, it's going to go Landon, Liam, Zane, Ella. Next rack of intermediates, Tyson Allen, Ashley Hardy, Carson Gregory. Looks like I got the top 2 right now giving me a pump. Ashley's pedaling, smiling with a big old smile on her face as she watches these boys act like fools. Gregory in the 1, Allen in the 2. He tries to push his move around. They should not see those feet moving if they are pumping. Out of your last turn is going to be Gregory on the 1. Allen in your 2 and Hardy in your 3. Another rack of intermediates. Hunter Dye, Jamin Lee, Kean Milligan. This is the one where it's listed as an intermediate, but it's a whole mixed up group from novice to expert out here. 13 and 14 years old out here. Hunter Dye, though, your 13-year-old expert leading the charge right now as he heads to the downhill third straight. Kean Milligan's on your number 2 and Jamin Lee in your 3 spot. As a reminder, summer camp registration, make sure you get registered for summer camp if you want to spot June or July session. You can do one or both. Send us an email. Last rack of intermediates, Shannon Polk, Joe Brooks, and Tara Thomas. We look like we have some nice weather this week, so we will be out here practicing on Wednesday night. Wednesday practice, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Last rack of intermediates, we've got Shannon Polk leading the charge right now. Brooks in your number 2 spot. Thomas in your 3. As they go to the stripe, that's the order they're going to finish it for that main event. First rack of experts, Red Honeycutt of Vanna George and Breck Romer. Red's taking the first two. He's looking to make a sweep today on that 7-year-old expert. Vanna's trying to chase him down, and Romer's chasing her down as they all come into that second turn. It's still Honeycutt coming out of it on the top spot. George on the 2 and Romer on your 3. It's okay. It just make them faster. As they turn out of that last straight, it's going to be Honeycutt on the 1, George on the 2, and Romer on your 3. Preston George, Cole Rivas, Joey Cotado, Harrison Vanoy. Turn number 1 action. We've got a battle for that top spot, but out of that turn, it's going to be George on the 1. Rivas and Cotado giving battle for that 2 spot. Vanoy's rounding it out. Out of that second turn. George holds on to his 1 as they go into that last turn. Cole in your 2, Joey in your 3, and Harrison is going to round out that rack. To the stripe. That looks like that's the order they're going to finish. Preston, Cole, Joey, Harrison. Last rack of the day, Riley Richardson, Chris Workman, Mary Pat Meany, Anthony Bynum, and Will Zylstra. Zippy, 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 Will leading the number 1. Bynum on your 2, Richardson in your 3, Workman in your 4, and Meany's going to round it out. Into that last turn they go. Out of the last turn, it's going to be Zylstra in the 1. Richardson makes his charge to take over that 2. Bynum drops to the 3. Workman holds the 4, and Meany's going to round it out. Alrighty, guys, thank you all so much for coming out. We have Easter egg hunt next.